I am surprised, therefore, that some quarters have been talking of Africa being marginalized. Some people have been saying that Africa can be marginalized. This is not possible. Africa cannot be marginalized by the world. It is only the African leaders that can marginalize Africa through their wrong actions. There is nobody who can keep Africa backwards. It is only the African leaders that can do it, as they have done it in the past. Such wrong actions in the past have taken the form of stifling the private sector, have taken the form of brutalizing the African people and stopping them from producing wealth, have taken the form of denying them their political rights, and have taken the form of holding them in ignorance by denying them education. Once the question of leadership is resolved, Africa is unstoppable. There's nobody who can stop Africa once we resolve the question of leadership. It is for this reason that I salute Your Excellency for seeing the potential of Africa the way we see it in the national resistance movement, in our political movement. But then, somebody may say, somebody may say, but if Africa is unstoppable, then why has it lagged behind all this time? And indeed, many people are asking that question, although sometimes they don't ask it out of politeness. They say, but Africa, Asia has developed. Why has Africa not developed? There's some implied idea that possibly there's something wrong with the Africans. The reason for this apparent lagging behind of Africa was initially geographical, and later on it became historical. The geographical constraint meant that in spite of the fact that Africa was the cradle of humanity some 5 million years ago, and in spite of the fact that human beings did not exist anywhere else on the globe except in Africa until about 100,000 years ago, the population of Africa was only about 47 million by 1500 AD. While the population of those who had migrated out of Africa, all these Europeans you see, the Asians, the Chinese, these are all Africans who have lost their pigmentation. Now, when these people left Africa 100,000 years ago, they were a small number. But what is interesting is that by 1500, the Africans who remained in Africa were only 47 million. The Africans who had migrated out of Africa were 300 million. This slow growth in population was due to the problems of the tropics, was due to sicknesses caused by many tropical vectors, e.g. mosquitoes, tsetse flies, etc. A slowly growing population meant also slow growth in political evolution, especially slow growth in political centralization. Lack or low level of political centralization meant small clan-based political units scattered all over this vast continent. In spite of speaking similar dialects or languages, they would not be governed together. This did not mean that there were no attempts at centralization. They were there, but many of them were not sustained over the millennia. Over time, the overlingering of small political units, the overlingering of the small clan-based or tribe-based political units opened the door for another distortion. And this was the conquest of Africa, the colonization of Africa, the plunder of Africa by the outsiders, who took advantage of the lack of sufficient centralization in Africa to conquer it. Some people say that Africa was conquered because of technology. This is not true. That the Europeans had superior technology, that's why they were conquered. This is not true. I have told you in the past that Japan and China were inferior in technology when they came in contact with the West. The West tried to conquer China. The West tried to conquer Japan, but they did not succeed. Even here in Africa, the West tried to conquer. Here I am referring to the colonization and the attendant evils of slave trade, as well as general looting. Therefore, what was originally a geographical problem opened the door for a historical one. This in turn led to the stunting of social metamorphosis, which prevented the emergence of a middle class with the attendant problems of lack of cosmopolitan outlook by the influential sectors among the political elite, and also low level of entrepreneurship. Thus, a problem originally of geography created a problem of historical distortions, which in turn created a problem of social and economic stunting. However, within the womb of these cascading historical, geographical, and social problems, seeds of the solution to our problems were already being planted. Interaction with other parts of the world, although they were largely parasitic, our interaction with the rest of the world was largely parasitic. But within this parasitic arrangement, there were also elements that would help us to resolve our age-old problems of Africa by introducing modern medicine that has now controlled the mass killers that used to keep the population of Africa low. We have now been able to control smallpox. We have been able to control sleeping sickness. We are controlling off and on malaria and many other mass killers. This is how the population of Africa has now jumped from 133 million in 1900 to 750 million now. The population of Africa, as you can notice, is still much smaller than the population of India, in spite of the fact that India is 10 times smaller than Africa in land area. The population of Africa is also smaller than the population of China, in spite of the fact that China is 3 times smaller than Africa in land area. The population of Uganda is only 20 million today, yet the optimal population size for Uganda should be about 65 million people. In fact, the population of Uganda in 1956, when I was a young boy, was only 4 million people. The land was almost empty. Although I pointed out above that Africa is lagging behind other continents, it is only in the areas of industrialization, commerce, modernizing agriculture, and social services that this is so. However, in areas of language, of social relations, and of some elements of non-commercialized technology, Africa is far ahead of other continents. Take language, for instance. In the English language, you may only be able to use descriptions to explain, for instance, food. Let's take food, one area. You will hear the English people saying, mashed bananas. Or you hear them saying, a morsel of food. You hear them saying, a mouthful of bananas. You hear them saying, a slice of bread, etc. As you may notice, Your Excellency, all these are descriptive phrases. They are not technical terms of different forms of food. When it comes to my dialect, for instance, my own language, for example, I'll be able to use a single word, which is a technical term for most of these different forms of food. If, for instance, I say ektonje, I mean a mouthful of solid food. On the other hand, if I'm referring to a mouthful of liquid food, I will not say ektonje, I will say entama. And when I say enogo, it means a morsel of food before you put it in the mouth, but after you have shaped it in order to draw sauce from the bowl. If I say ekshate, ekshate describes a banana, a cassava, or a potato, if they are split longitudinally. On the other hand, if you split them transversely, then you use another word, which is called enkobwa. So you can see, Your Excellency, how rich this language is. It is a pity that people in other continents do not have access to this rich vocabulary. The richness of our social relations has enabled us to ride out many catastrophes in the history of Africa. We have been able to overcome rinderpest, to overcome smallpox, to overcome slave trade, to overcome colonial wars, and recently to overcome the problem of the epidemic of AIDS. Even when I say lagging behind in technology by Africa, it is only in recent, and it will be short-lived. By 1400 AD, the Africans had autonomously taken part in all the major human revolutions up to then. They had invented fire on their own, they had domesticated animals on their own, they had domesticated crops on their own, and they were having an advanced late Iron Age technology. Your Excellency, now that Africa has at last solved its demographic problems, and we have also solved our leadership problems in a number of cases, we can interact for mutual benefit with our partners in Europe, in North America, in Japan, in China, Russia, India, Southeast Asia. However, this generation, our generation, Your Excellency, should not repeat past mistakes. Each one of us is differently endowed. Utilizing the principles of comparative advantages, we can produce and exchange goods and services to the benefit of both world consumers and world producers. Production will be efficient, and consumers will get goods and services at lower and affordable prices.